If you're born in this town, you're cursed. I'm ending this. Tonight.
Hello and welcome. Finally, it's October, the month of Halloween, and although sadly I'm too old for trick-and-treating, I can definitely get excited about some of the horror films announced this month. One that may go unnoticed for some is a horror film named Dark Harvest, and mainly the reason for that is because it has no theatrical release, nor does it specify what streaming platforms the film will be showing on. The studio behind Dark Harvest is MGM and simply states it will be available for digital streaming on October the 13th. So I'd just keep an eye out on maybe Amazon Prime, otherwise a simple Google search on the day will no doubt list some sites where it will be available for purchase. Usually there are plenty of films like this that get similar treatment and end up flying under the radar, sometimes for good reason. For every major release, there is always a bucket load of B-movies that exist in the ether that probably aren't worth our time. But as I was watching the trailer for Dark Harvest, I thought to myself, ooh damn, this actually looks quite good. The first thing that caught my attention was the colour grading. It has a nice richness to the blues and reds that really complements how the moon illuminates certain objects in focus, while everything else is shrouded in the deep void of darkness. For seemingly a smaller budget film, it's got some tight cinematography going for it, as well as some really impressive close-up shots. You get the feeling that the transition from the storyboard imagery to film went exactly as intended, and they were able to capture the original vision well enough.
Born in this town, you're cursed.
The trailer music is also very fitting. I feel like it borders close to being generic at times, but the tribal dance of the drums and the shakers gives a very riveting sense of urgency to what the young men are actually forced to participate in this Halloween. So let's talk about the story and plot details a little. What we know so far? Well, Dark Harvest is based on a novel with the same title and has been adapted to the screen and directed by David Slade, who was also responsible for Hard Candy, 30 Days of Night, which I absolutely loved, and the Twilight Saga, The Eclipse, which I absolutely couldn't care less about. He also created the Black Mirror Bandersnatch event on Netflix, but I haven't managed to see that one just yet. He's been involved in a few other interesting projects, and just based on that merit, I don't see any reason not to be excited for this one either. Now, I haven't read the novel, and therefore apologies to those of you who have, but I hear wonderful things. Just looking at the reviews, people describe the book as captivating from beginning to end, which is always a plus, and generally it has about 5 out of 5 stars. So, story-wise, from what I can gather, every year there is some sort of ritual that takes place that originates from the cornfields of some unknown American Midwestern town. The young men of the town are either encouraged or forced to take part in the hunting of a supernatural entity that has a pumpkin for a head and goes by the name Sawtooth Jack or October Boy. The premise appears simple enough. They have to stop Sawtooth Jack from reaching the church by midnight, or else something terrible will happen. So it seems like there are several themes at play here, just from what I can observe having not read the book. It's very evident there is some supernatural folklore and mythology that extends deep within the history of the location, rooted in the very culture of the town. I'm assuming that every year this ritual has to take place, and failure to stop October Boy may result in what they describe as black dust destroying their crops, or maybe something far more terrible. There is also the rite of passage aspect that the lives of the people who reside here are so heavily invested in. Kill or be killed is the advice uttered by one of the authority figures to the boys before they embark on their adventure, if that's the right term to use. It's very apparent that there is a strong competitive nature to this event that looks to bring about conflict, especially among themselves, as we see the boys fight one another, probably over some sense of pride and social status yet to achieve. I think as well the fact that only boys are allowed to participate would also suggest that perhaps the reward of being idolised for the following year, especially by the opposite sex, offers a blind incentive to rush out and disregard any risk to their own lives. Another reason why all the young men seem incredibly eager to go forth and start the hunt, blissfully ignorant to the fact that they might all die soon, is that may be the case that some senior members of the town are acutely aware of a more sinister side to this tale and the origin of the monster in question. Perhaps the teenagers are ignorant of the town's history and its dark secrets, and are naively assuming in regards to what they hope to achieve from this ritualistic hunt, and may soon find out the truth of the matter themselves. I did read some spoiler material based on the novel, and although I won't be sharing any spoilers here for those unaware, however, the reasoning behind the manifestation of Sawtooth Jack and what he is very deep rooted and quite disturbing. So it's nice that we will have a villain with some history and meaning to add to the integrity of the film. I have to say, for some reason I'm a sucker when it comes to certain historical periods in movies, no matter the genre. When I saw the teenagers wearing those classic American football jackets and the vintage cars in the background, I really got that small town, almost Steven Spielbergian warm vibe, you know? What I love about these types of movies is no matter the date, they always feel very present and personal. When Marty McFly travelled back to the 50s in Back to the Future, it wasn't distracting, you never felt pulled out of the film. You quickly fell in love with the setting and aesthetics as you then immersed yourself further into the film with ease. I don't think Dark Harvest will be any kind of coming of age story or anything as grand as that, but childishly I'm looking forward to the retelling or rehash of that stereotypical and timeless narrative of the high school jocks tackling their insecurities with bouts of aggression and macho-ness. The lead actor, Casey Likes, looks promising in the trailer at least and gives a tense performance in a few scenes we see him in.
Old Sawtooth Jack is gonna rise from the cornfields.
The narration we hear spoken over the trailer is kinda spooky, isn't it? Very foreboding as it plays in parallel with the eerie music. So I feel like this could be a solid horror movie, dare I say it. The only thing it has going against it is the lack of clarity regarding how and where we can watch this film. Otherwise, it's not just some one-off script. The source material is a much-loved novel with fantastic reviews, and everything about the trailer looks very enticing to me. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments, especially if you have read the book. Obviously, no major spoilers please, but I'd love to hear from someone with that insight of knowing the story and what your expectations are going to be. We didn't see any blood and gore though, did we? Maybe they're saving it for release, but then it's possible they decided to take a different route with how they present the violence. When you think about it, the film looks very stylised and crisp, from the vivid colours and lighting to the set designs. So maybe there is no need for such visceral carnage within the nature of storytelling here. After all, you don't need to see blood and guts for a film to be scary or have you on the edge of your seat. So maybe they have gone with the what you don't see that will ultimately be the thing that scares you. So I have a good sense, a strong feeling about this film that it's going to be very entertaining. I really would love to know what people think of the trailer that has read the book. Does it live up to the images you created in your mind when reading the novel, or does anything fall flat and turn you off from watching the film? I do hope that the trailer is a good representation of the rest of the film, because the tone and the mood of what we see so far really does it for me. I love it when the smaller films just suddenly appear out of nowhere and surprise us all with a refreshing story and prove that you don't need a high budget and a year's worth of promotion to sell a film. Obviously I could be very wrong about Dark Harvest, but I just get these enormous passion project vibes from watching the trailer, and knowing how wonderfully written the book is, as everyone says, we could have a strong candidate for one of this year's best Halloween pictures. So yeah, the trailer has a nice oddness to it as well as some other qualities, but I also appreciate how some of this film has enough of that supernatural element without being overbearing that you kind of buy into the fact that somehow the town is isolated from the rest of the world. It's like, okay, so we have potentially dozens and dozens of boys that go out and risk their lives, otherwise the town is cursed. Where are the police? What's the government doing about it? Wouldn't you just leave town? But that's the point. As silly as it sounds, if a story is good, you forget about all that and truly buy into the premise that the film creates, and then sit back and enjoy the immersion. So I'm praying they did right by the book, and it's going to be an awesome watch, I'm sure. So that's it for now. October the 13th is the date to look out for, so thanks very much for watching, and please try to stay entertained. Take care.